Hello everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Groove Builders and the Workbench, Part 2 inside of our Templar Night series. Looks like I'm a little hot here on the music. Let me turn it down just a little bit. There we go, there we go. So if you tuned in yesterday, you know that we built these legs here in the Templar Knight, and these guys are looking really nice. These are some good looking legs. I had to take the video down. Unfortunately, I had some spammer conversations pop up in the chat towards the end there, so that means I have to go back and re-edit the video before I can officially re-upload it, which is a shame. But I'm hoping today to be able to get through the majority of the night, maybe even finish it. We'll see. But let's go ahead and move on to the next step that we need to do, which is actually designing our helmet. Let me just change those instructions for you. There we go. We're looking good. We're looking good. Okay, so now we're on to part 13. Getting right into this, what we're going to do is actually grab part 12 first. And what you can see is that it tells us to actually put the detail on here first before making the formation. Now, usually it tells us to do this because it can be kind of hard to put it on afterwards. I really want to follow the instructions here. The only issue that I have is that if I was to go ahead and add that little bit of detail right here, when I bring my tools along the back to actually get the proper shaping, it will leave a little weird little mark here because of where the tabs are. They're always going to be a little bit something sticking out. It won't be able to get the tool exactly flat against there. So forming this might be the best idea. Let's go ahead and try that. Just like before, we're going to start big and make our way down. So we're going to grab this little lower half here. Still working on my live stream design. I really want to try my best here to improve this and make it look a lot better. I want to work on some of my OBS layouts to make them look cool too. And hopefully all here in time. It's just about having the time to be able to get it done. Been really busy in the Groove Builders side of things lately. Been battling everything from copyright strikes, my Spotify shop being taken down temporarily again, all due to these little troll attacks. It is what it is. Spread the love. Let's do this here. Just rolling the part here. And what this is allowing me to do is get a really nice consistent shaping. If you notice, I'm going right to those edges with that, and the reason for that is I really want this to have a nice finish. And if we just come here to the edge and bend it down just a little bit like that, we should get a nice finish. Same with this side here. We're going to almost like kind of flatten the back just a little bit. Now we're going to take these tabs, bend them in like so. And we can create a little bit of a locking motion. But before we lock everything together, we're going to add that little bit of detail on the top and also form this little top piece here. I think if I leave it like this, I should be able to have access to these little gold tabs. So let's bring these up here. Same thing like I said before, we go ahead and grab this little piece and we bend her down. We want to grab as much of the tab in our tweezers as possible. I'm a lot sharper today than I was last night. Anyone who tuned into that live stream saw a very hurting, disorderly cone. Didn't have any coffee. Things were stressed. I spent almost an hour on one leg of this Templar Knight last night. If that's a sign I shouldn't have been building, I think that was a sign. Oh, sorry, I should say, if that's not a sign that I shouldn't have been building, I don't know what is. Got the one side in there, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to bend this one down just slightly that way. That should allow me to get, if you have one of these bent 90 degrees, if you bend the other one just slightly different, it actually makes it a lot easier for you to be able to get these tabs in place. That one. Having a really hard time getting the other one in there, aren't I? Maybe it is better to do this one flat and then form it afterwards. I'm right on it though. There we go. It's actually in the hole. It's just not. It's not the way I want it to be. The tab isn't as. It's not as in as I want it to be. It's leaving a lot of extra room there. So anyone who's looking in on today and notices that my gloves are a little bit of a different color, that's because I'm eating my words. The shop ran out of black gloves. Okay, I'm gonna bring this in real quickly. I'm still having a hard time getting that tab inside of the insertion hole in the way that I want it to be in there. Like I've gotten it in. Like that's not the issue. It's just the alignment of it I don't like. Like I can see the tab here on the side, and I think it's because I didn't actually grab as much of the tab as I could. And I tried to correct it, but maybe if I bring it back out again and... Okay, let's do this. Okay, what I'm going to do is bring it like that. And now I'm going to bend it down. That is about as best I can do. So if that can go in, I don't know, man. There we go. Yeah, like I said, it was just a little bit of me. It was my fault. I didn't have the tabs bent enough, and that's what happens. So as you saw right there, it's actually very important to make sure that when you push the tabs in, that you do have as much of the tab as possible bent. Otherwise, you will have a little bit of a spacing, and that will affect the end look of the Templar Knight. I do have a little bit of scratching that took place there because I was fighting for so long, which kind of sucks, but we'll be able to sort that out a little bit later, hopefully. I want to be very careful up here with these ones because I don't want to accidentally have the same thing take place. And actually, I'm going to say that this tab here actually needs to be rebent. So let's do that. Right here at the edge. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Right in it went. And that's, again, just because I had a little piece of metal there on the side that was just preventing me from making it in. And it's just because, again, the tab wasn't bent all the way on the one side. It's funny how a little tiny thing like that can really set things a little bit crazy, eh? All right. Now, let's go around the top here. Now, you're going to see what I meant by it's a little harder to get this shaped properly because of the fact that we have that little those little tabs there in the back. So what I'm going to have to do is kind of come around like this, and I'm going to try to do some micro bends. Yep, just like that. And I am going to try to hide these tabs. I was debating it. Okay, there we go. And we'll play with this a little bit. And I'm actually going to bring my forming tools in here in a moment. You'll see, we'll get this looking really nice, this helmet. Okay, get that tab there. Same thing with the other side here. Let's go ahead and bend this little guy down. I really want to make sure I'm grabbing as much as I can, though. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring that little metal ball that we have here. I think this one actually looks pretty good. Bring that in, and that's going to give us a nice little starting shape, because we do want this helmet to have a little bit of a bend at the top, just a little. So we're going to press, press, press. There we go. Now again, I know that some of you might not have these tools at home. Alternatively, there's some good alternatives to this tool though. There's some things like spoons. Spoons are fantastic, especially like crab spoons. They're just small enough to be able to do some really cool work with. So definitely check those out if you're looking for something. Oh, that matches up perfectly. I don't really want to mess that too much. Okay. Now, let's take these tabs here, and again, just taking as much of them in our tweezers as possible. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm running into right now is I don't have enough of a hooking action here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend these back just a little bit more like that. Same with these ones, just a little bit more. Excuse me, I have a cat in the house right now and I'm slightly allergic to them, so it's always a good time here when I'm getting a little bit of the sniffles here. My apologies, my friends. Oh, shoot a monkey. Might have to mute and come back here after blowing my nose in a moment. Just getting that top, or that bottom one in, just to kind of hold that bottom area in, and then I can work these ones at the top. Sorry, but let me go back here. That bottom one is in, it's at the top. There we go. And now there's done that like that. Pushing a little bit on the actual seam itself. We're going to latch that top one in. Latch that second one in, just like that. And then we can see that third one in there. Let's see if I can get that third one right there as well. Okay. Now, you're saying to yourself, that does not look very cylindrical, and I would agree with you. So what we're going to do is bring our little tool in here, and we're going to work it out. Yeah, we're going to work this out. Just pushing a little bit around. Again, that area back here, typically where we put our all of our tabs, usually has a little bit of a point on it, especially with any kind of cylindrical area. So we're going to go and just kind of press that a little bit to try to get rid of that. It can be hard to do, especially when you're trying to hide tabs, because you always have a little bit of overlapping with the metal. So anytime you have a little bit of overlapping, it's almost impossible to get a really nice circular shape. I almost have the shape I want. I want a little bit more here. There we go. That actually doesn't look that bad, and the helmet overall doesn't look horrible. Let me see if I have another tool here that can help us get this little edge here. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Now we can go ahead and put the top detail on, which is this little bugger right here. Where are we? Here we are. This little guy here. We're just building a little box with part 14. Bringing the, I'm going to try to bring the tab half over first. And that go. Awesome. And there we go. We got that little piece now done. And we can move on to our next little step here. Let's go ahead and put our little tools here aside. We're going to grab part 15. That's this little dude right here. And we're going to make sure that we have the back. Now, this can only go on one way from what it looks like, so you can't really mess this up. Awesome. Great. Okay. Yeah, there's a engraved side on top, which has that little bit of graving there that we can all see. Now, these guys, the way that they are secured is with a twist. So, let's give them a nice little twist. There we go. Looking good, looking good. I like it. All right, now that we got this, we can go on and move on to adding this to our actual helmet itself and hopefully get that nice little shape that we were trying to get before. I have a little bit, I don't like this little spot right here, though. Let's see if we can round that a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, a little better. Now we can put this in place. It looks like this will go in like this. Ah, okay, this is the part I can see. I actually misread the instructions, my friends. So I do apologize for anyone who's been following along. We actually don't want to connect this bottom half until this point right here. And the reason for that is you need to insert a piece. You need to insert that disc. And if you have this back here latch, it's going to be really hard to do. It's not that it's impossible. You're just going to involve a lot of scraping and stuff. So rather than do that, let's just open this up for just a second here. There we go. That right there should be enough for me to be able to do the malarkey that I need to do in here. Can I make it? Nope. Another thing too, this build has these little tiny circles inside of it. So if you're not careful, there's the one side I just got. There we go. If you're not careful, you'll accidentally get it in the wrong spot, and that's no bueno. You'll get in one of the holes by mistake. Okay, so how can I get this in here without causing a whole bunch of malarkey? I don't think it's going to happen. I think I have to open this up even more. I didn't want to open it up more, but looks like it has to happen. There we go. That should be more than enough to be able to do what we need to do here. There we go. She's in that one. Okay, what I'm going to do is temporarily, I'm just going to twist this tab. Temporarily twist that tab, and that's going to hold that piece in place, and then I can manipulate everything else I need to manipulate here. So first, I need to get this wall out. So let's push that like that. Push you like that. Okay, just like that. And we're going to bring you up. Okay, now we're in the vicinity of where we need to be. So let's go ahead and push this over. Oh man, we are right on that. Come on now. Why aren't you going in? There we go. Alright. And, oh, I understand why you weren't going in, because the other side wasn't in. My silliness. Okay. Do that. Unfortunately, you gotta straighten that tab back out. And now, we're going to go like this. Bring it down. And let's do that. her over. Awesome. That looks great. Okay, cool. Now let's get this little back area here. Just like we just did. And this time we're going to bring the helmet over. But with this, now what we got to do is kind of got to do three things at once. We're going to have to take this little tab here, get that little back end, and we're simultaneously going to have to get these other tabs in place. I'm going to bring out my detail tweezers, and I'm going to just pull that guy there in preparation. I already got that bottom tab pretty much lined up, and it looks like I can almost do the same thing with the top tabs here. Let's just make sure those are going to go in. It does look like they're going to make it. So the only thing we have to worry about now is this guy right here. So, in theory, if I can just push this down a little bit right here, a little more. Okay, we are almost on the line. Oh, we are so close, everybody. We are so close. And push. A little more. Oh, we went a little too far. Back. I just want a little bit more. Of course, you're gonna love to get stuck right at the spot that matters, right? And then, okay. Now let's bring these guys in place. Super interesting. This is figures are always an interesting build when it comes to Metal Earth builds, and this one is no exception. That's for dang sure. I'm gonna do a little cheat move there. Okay, so that now is lined up. Yes. My mic sounds a little bit muffled. Okay, let me take a quick little look at that and see what I can do here quickly. Does that sound any better? I think it should sound a little bit better. We'll see in a moment. Okay. Still trying to get that one little spot in there. I may have to bring this in, guys. Sorry, I do apologize. Just trying to get this guy perfectly on here, and I'm having a hard time. That is an interesting piece. I almost want to get the one side in first, but doing that makes it almost impossible to get the other side in. So it's like I'm having to do like a little bit of a trade-off. I almost want to take the one tab and bend it over a little bit more, like this. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. Did I get it over? Nope. All right. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. Okay. Now for the record here, the reason why I'm struggling is again because I decided to put this on a different way, and because I did that, I am suffering through the consequences. I actually should have seen that. I don't know why I didn't see that, but that's why we're having this. So give me one more second here. I'll bring this into my face real quickly and see if I can fix it real quick. Yeah, that tab is right there, but it looks like actually the top tab here was causing an issue. Let me just see if I can get that in. I need to work on getting you guys a better camera angle for that kind of a thing. I would like to show you guys what I'm doing up close. I want to get multiple camera angles. I just got to work on a way to be able to do that, and also figure out a way how I can make it look good on camera, because or look good on the OBS having multiple cameras. Okay, awesome. Now this got a little bit misshapen here, so I want to kind of try to fix that if I can. That back area has a big gap in it. I don't like gaps We have a war on gaps, so let's see if we can fix that. Okay, I think I actually did fix that pretty well. I think that actually looks really good. There's the front of our Templar Knight, looking really nice. And now we're going to take these tabs that we just got here, and we're going to bend those down, just like that. Cool. Now we can move on to our next piece here, which is actually putting part 16 on top. This one's an actually pretty cool little piece. What we want to do is make sure the engraved is on top, and we're going to match up these little tabs here. And what we're doing is we are going to be bending all those little details down. Did I put this on backwards? I did. Silly goose me. There we go. And now I'm doing is just bending these tabs down, just like so. Cool. And now we're going to go around the entire Templar Knight and just bend down these little flakes. Now, there's multiple different ways you could have done this. You could have actually done this beforehand. The reason why I'm doing this, I'm actually just starting them. I'm going around and bending them down a little bit, and then I'll go down around in a minute with the back end of my tweezers and finish it off. It's kind of like pre-bending them, if you will. But what I meant by double ways of doing this, you could have actually pre-bent the entire piece here and went about doing this way. I like going about this way just because I can have more control of how much bending needs to be done, because again, I want this to look kind of realistic. Push this around just like that. Again, trying to be consistent as possible. That is really the key with these models, consistency. Also, too, I don't want this guy to look like he has a bowl cut. Awesome. Pushing around. Really trying to get this to go down. It's not actually forming the way I want it to. There we go. I got it down. There we go. That looks great. That looks great. Now we can move on to the next piece here, which is actually forming our main body area. Let's move on to that. That's part 17. This guy right here looking pretty cool. Now what we need to do is get this formed up. You can see that this part right here needs to remain flat while these get a nice little rounded shaping. Now you guys already know that I'm a big fan, of course, of using my little tool here to help me out. And I think that's a perfect tool to kind of help me with making our nice rounded shape. Now on the back of this, you can see all the little details of the metal. These are here to help us shape this piece the best we possibly can. I'm just going to do one of these motions there. Kind of emphasizing the back. Let me make sure how that looks. Yeah, there we go. Nice little puffy chest kind of a thing here. And then, again, trying not to do too much of the... I don't want to have any lines in my work either, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing this in the right way. But by adding these little details in this way, what I'm doing is I'm hopefully adding a nice little 3D effect without actually harming the metal in any way. Unfortunately, when it comes to some of these models, when the paint is being, when you're shaping them, the paint can come off incredibly easily. So something to know. That did not bend where I wanted it to, and see, now we have a little crease there. So what we're gonna have to do is bring out our bender tool, which I should have done from the beginning. Excuse me. I'm gonna take this guy. We're gonna fit her in, just like a daisy. Now, actually, we want to go in a corner where we have access. Where's my thin corner? I think right here might be best, actually. Yeah, right about there. Yeah, okay. That should be good. Now we're going to bend it like this. And we get a nice little bend there. That's going to start us off. right there. All right. Try to get my tweezers here because I've already got that bent, so I gotta be careful. Okay, now I think I should be able to work this out. Actually, it looks like my bender tool even went a little bit short. I wonder, is that the detail? Oh, look at that. Okay, so I actually bent it correctly. The end of the detail's here, but the mark is off. The mark is here. The detail's there. Look at that. See, the last line of that grade is right here. Let's see if I can hope you guys can see that. The last line of that grade is right there. So this actually bent correctly in terms of where I bent it. But on the detail side of things, there's at least I say that's at least a millimeter. Where's my ruler? It's not that big of a deal, but I usually advocate for these models being built very precisely. And so I don't have my ruler on site. I was doing calibration. That stinks. Oh well, I can say that this right here is definitely at least 2 millimeters on either side. So that's interesting. That is super interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and kind of round this chest out a little bit more. Again, we're going to be rounding this out because it actually does have a rounded chest. Like, it's not a super harsh bend, but it's still something you want to have kind of established, and I'll show you why. It just helps with the shoulders, especially when doing them around here. But let's go ahead and start kind of doing that a little bit. Shoulder-wise, let's show you how to do that with the tweezers. Again, earlier, or in the last video, I should say, I talked about doing the micro bends, going down and kind of bending the metal as we go. It's a really good way of doing things, and it does help get a really nice shape. The only problem with that is that it's kind of hard to get consistent shaping unless you're really consistent with your bends. And that's why using tools like the Bender 1.0 is super easy for you to get like consistent bends over and over and over again. Okay. Now these, I do believe, get locked in, and they look like they get locked in. They get fed through. I also notice sometimes when Metal Earth is intending you to kind of like go around somewhere, they'll give you an extra long tab, like in this case here. If anything, that's an invitation to make sure that you're doing this correctly, or at least an indication, I should say. Normal tabs, they tend to be a lot shorter and harder to grab. Especially if you're putting them in on the inside and trying to hide them, definitely a complicated thing to do. Now, I want to make sure this is correctly bent, and it looks like it's not. It looks like the chest actually has, this part here pops out, and the chest is separate. So that looks correct now, but it wasn't before. Now you can kind of see how this kind of does this. We can kind of see that because of how the metal is bent, right? But again, we got to be really careful not to accidentally get a nice little line here. You can actually already see how this wants to bend, and that's because of that line right there. I didn't establish that. I didn't bend it. It's already in the detail, kind of depending on what light you see it in. I hope you can see that. Anyway, let's move on and connect the other shoulder here. Again, we're going to take our little tweezers, and all I'm doing is a little motion like this. That's all I'm doing. But I'm trying to do just a little bit at a time as I move down the part, and that's going to create a nice little bend. And I go right down to the tip. See? We can do it again, and if we do it again, we get even more of a bend. And we can keep doing it until eventually we get down to right about the right spot. Take that little tab, bend her in. Well, like that, bend her in. And now we can grab the other side here and push her inside. If I can do that. Sometimes easier said than done. There we go. Want to see me secure a tab really fast? Actually missed the tab. There we go. Alrighty, we did it. Looking good, looking good. A little bit of more tabbage on this side than I would really want. Maybe... Can I persuade you to come over this way? I just want consistency. There we go. Nice little puffed off chest. And now we're going to see how these guys have a little bit of gapping in there. So if we push them in, we can kind of see how we need to bend these ones. And that's why I didn't really want to bend these ones with tools. I wanted to form them with my hands. I wanted to get that feel in there. Because again, I really want to try to minimize the gaps in this build. I really do want to try to go for a really good looking Templar Knight. I know this is an older build, so getting them to look really nice sometimes, especially with these older ones, can be a little bit difficult. But I think we can do it. And if you're watching at home and you're following along with me and you've made some of the mistakes I've made, I hope that I'm showing you that you can correct those mistakes yourself. And at any point in time that you do find yourself making a mistake, let's say you break a part, that can sometimes happen and that sucks. All you do is reach out to Metal Earth. Those guys are awesome. They're great. And if you actually break a piece and you let them know, they will send you a replacement part, which is great. Not only a replacement part, sometimes they'll actually send you an entire replacement model, depending on how bad of a mess you're currently in. Which, I mean, that's awesome, right? In our little tiny community here, I think it's really cool to have companies that are super supportive to us, especially because our hobby isn't so small. It is growing. It is growing. It's exciting to see it grow, especially with Metal Earth doing really cool stuff. Metal Time releasing really neat models too. I mean, we also have Time for Machine releasing some of their cool stuff in the last couple of weeks. It seems like everybody's been releasing metal models lately. But the thing is, these new metal models are they're so much better than the prior generations before that they almost completely overshadow some of the older stuff, which the older stuff does have its own appeal to it. But like, you can't say that they look the same because they just don't. Even the design difference is quite significant, especially when it comes to figures, the painted models versus the silver models that we have now. Look at War Machine. That's a great example. War Machine, the old War Machine, I mean, it's completely almost obsolete. And that's the Metal Earth stepping up their game. That's nothing more than everyone across the board stepping up their game. And what better time to do that than in the pandemic when everyone was sitting back and not really doing much? I just wish more people could have found this hobby before that time so that everyone could have been locked away building cool stuff. That would have been fun. But all my modelers out there that have been building these before the pandemic, they know what was up. They're like, hey, we're getting locked away. We better stock up. Okay, cool. Just like that. Awesome, awesome. That actually looks pretty good. I'm liking the way that this is kind of forming out here. Again, this back we're gonna have to work on. I think I can get it down though pretty good. Let me see. Okay, kind of do the curve a little bit there. Okay, now we're gonna bring in the little bit of a. Now what I'm doing here is, again, on the back side, if you remember, there was those little pieces, there was those little bits of metal that had a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not scoring, that's a clay term. Perforation, thank you. The word is perforation. Those perforated lines actually really do help us get the piece where they need to go. But again, to form them all is very important. I've been doing this for a little bit, and sometimes I think I forget that, and I think, oh, this is super easy for somebody, and then they end up really struggling with it. So I understand if it's not as easy as it looks. I do apologize. But I'll try my best to make you as proficient and not following rules as me. Or I should say instructions. Do a little twist-a-rooney there. Come on down here. I can't wait to try to figure out what I'm going to do to get pictures for this one. I'm going back and forth. There's a couple of castles around me, and I've been tempted to go out there and make a little bit of a date with their girlfriend and, bring around the model. See, isn't it awesome to date me? I mean, you get to go out in cool places and take pictures of models. No, I have a really good girlfriend. She's awesome with that. She loves to come out with me, take pictures. we've made some of our dates going out to cool places because of that. And that's always neat. I was actually going to take the next time I get a chance in Toronto. We have the Ripley's Aquarium, and some of the spots in there look really neat. And I think that both the Metal Time submarine, the elusive Nautilus, would look really cool in some pictures there. And I also think that the anglerfish from the Moyo store would get some good pictures there too. So my plan is to kind of sneak in a little bit and bring my camera and hopefully get a couple of pictures with my models. Now, I've been using my iPhone mostly for my pictures. Before I was using Android, I've been having a heck of a time getting good pictures on my iPhone, which I think is hilarious because the new iPhone was supposed to be so good. But if you guys have any ideas, or you have any tips or tricks on how to use the iPhone, any iPhone app recommendations you might think of for better cameras, let me know. I would love to take a look at them. I'm new to the whole Apple world, so fill me up on that if you got any information. Let me read that in the comments. Okay, especially if you're building along here with me, to have a little bit of a comeback and see that conversation would be really cool. There we go. Awesome. Now, this chest here is still a little bit more fluffed out than I want it to be, and that's because it's not curved. Let me see if I can bring my little tool in there and see if I can rectify that at all. It's not horrible. Actually, not horrible at all. I want these ones to be better, though. It looks like these are meant to be more in like this and rounded. Is that because I need to heighten this a little bit? There we go. And then we can lay off some of the stress here by doing this. There we go. Come around to the other side, do the same thing. Take some of that stress off. That's looking pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, cool. Now that we got this, we can move on to the collar piece, which is a little bit of detail. It's going to hide some of that larceny that we have there. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that we have two sides to this piece. We have an engraved side and a non-engraved side. The non-engraved side is what we're going to be bending. That's this side right here. The engraved side we want to see. That's the pretty part. Now, one thing we need to do with this is actually poke these little tabs here first up. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's get a nice little shaping happening here first, just to kind of begin this whole thing. Let's just do that. Kind of get that going like this. Does it meet in the back? I don't think it does. So let's just do that for now. That looks pretty good. And with that, we can now take our tweezers here and pop out those tabs. Now, the reason why I didn't pop out those tabs to begin with, or why I went back and pushed the one back in, is because, again, when we were taking our tool there and running it across our piece, any of those tabs that are kind of sticking up get in the way of making a really nice formation. So it's always a good idea to form your pieces first and then place them on. Okay, now that we have these, we can put our little piece on here. Let me see here. It looks like it's these two tabs. So we're going to take these, bend them straight down. And now it's kind of the moment of truth. Did we do a good job of bending this? Because if we did, these tabs should pretty much almost go right in spot. I personally think we kind of overbent this. That's just my personal thing. But we'll see. Do this. Well, that's a great question, Rob. Sorry for the length of time it took me to see your comment there, buddy. I'm having a little bit of a weird setup here at the moment. So when it comes to painted parts, sometimes the painted parts can flake that paint. Actually, these ones aren't bad. These parts actually feel really good. That's kind of the good thing about Metallurg. They really know how to color their pieces and know how to do it well. That's not to say that the other brands don't know how to do it better too, or don't how to do a good job. It's just I find, like, for instance, the coffee shop build, if you remember that one I did a couple weeks ago, that one in particular, that one the paint kept peeling off like crazy. This one, I'm able to actually do a lot more manipulations with the metal and get them to do the things I want. So Personally, I like this metal, although I will say I do find it to be a lot more malleable would be the word I guess I'm looking for than other stainless steel builds from Metal Earth. I find the painted ones, the steel bends a lot easier, and it makes me wonder if they use a different kind of steel for these builds. Okay, so I got the one tab there on the one side. I feel like I've gotten it in multiple times, but it keeps popping out. Okay, let's do this. Let's put one in first, and I'll secure it, and then we'll go back and do the other one. There we go. Oh, okay. There we go. Now that one side is in. I'm going to get the other one in here now too. It looks like it's just shy. If I lift this up, I think, no, I'm going to have to bring my mini tweezers over. It is like literally right there though. That is so funny. Okay, sorry my friends, I'm going to bring this in close. Okay, I'm hopefully gonna say something here that a lot of my friends can identify with. You know when that tab is literally right on the edge of getting into position and it's like right there, and it almost feels like there's a little tiny lip that's preventing the tab from going into the insertion hole. That is what I'm dealing with right now. And I thought that I had gotten it through, but I just actually flattened out my tab. So let me see if I can unflatten this and maybe bend it in a direction that will make my life a lot easier than playing with this. Luckily, a lot of the bending that I'm doing is not going to be seen, or sorry, a lot of the scratching that I'm doing under here is not going to be seen, because I'm doing a heck of a lot of it. I feel like too it's getting caught on the back end somehow, which is really bizarre to me. Okay. Oh man, bringing it again. Sorry, my friends. It's just on the edge, and it's just right there. It's almost like I have it. I got it now. It's almost like it was just like it kept popping out, right? Like it got in there, it would be in there for a second, and then just bloop. Oh. This is brutal. You know what? Like, it's so funny. This is a model that I really wanted to build for a long time. I mean it. Like when this model was actually released, I remember like really wanting it. I've always, you know, the Knights Templar as a child have always captured my imagination. You know, obviously, like a lot of people were really into it when the Nicolas Cage movie came out, and you know all that jazz. But even before that, I was really always into like these kind of like things. And so when the Knights Templar came out, or when they were releasing the model, I was immediately enthralled. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab that, because I'm a silly person. But now building this dang thing, I am just about ready. Okay, so what's happening here? I feel like my tab, like, I don't know what I did there, but maybe my tab isn't bent enough. So let's bring out my... Okay, there we go. Now you're straight now, okay? If I bring you into the location that I need to bring you into, which is right here. I need you down exactly, yeah, I need it down 90. So let's go ahead right there, begin that press. I keep getting stuck on that some piece there. And now go underneath, grab. There we go. Okay, bringing it in one more time. Yeah, my tab actually got bent slightly to the left, so I think that was the issue there. Gotcha. Alrighty, we did it. Now, it looks like actually this goes... So, what happened there? Why was it so hard for me to put this on? Well, it comes down to, I overbent it. Like I said, I kind of figured I was overbending it a little bit when I was starting it, just because it seems like the trend with this model is that I'm overbending our pieces, thinking that, like, you know, it's good. Did I just pop that? I hope not, because that would be a pain in the butt to get back in place. Oh, no, I didn't. We're good. Okay. Let me just push this around. Again, trying to create a nice look here, and it looks like this needs to kind of just come down a little bit. There we go. And I want this to hang more naturally. I think that looks better. I think that looks a lot better. Okay, now that we have this, let's go ahead and put our head on. I hope I answered your question well enough there, Rob. I do apologize, man, for not seeing your question sooner. There is a little bit of delay between the time that I see it, but I'm also taking glances back at my computer. Unfortunately, the way that my setup is done currently, I don't have a good way of being able to see my computer 100% of the time just yet. I am going to be moving very soon, and when I move, I'm hoping to have a really cool new set. Like, I got some really cool stuff coming up soon. You know, with the 3D printers and things, I got some neat things planned, and I'm hoping the show's going to actually evolve into something a lot more. We'll see, though. We'll see. All in time, and I'm not rushing anything. Let's let the pieces fall where they fall first. Okay, now what we need to do is take this little front part here. Did I put these on backwards? Let me just see. Do they only go on one way? No. Okay. Now, so I don't bend my sides out of place, we're going to sneak my tweezers right in here. And we don't want to scratch the metal either, because we will see the white, so... Although the back end here is hidden underneath the cape. Okey-dokey. Oh, come on, right there, team. There we go. Excellent. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to bend these guys down, just like these. Now with the front end here, it's saying the same thing. It wants us to bend these down, so we're going to bend them down. There we go. That might have to change, just based on this one tab right there. I could see those getting in the way. We'll see, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes out. But for right now, we need to change our spot here. That's what we were just on right there. That's the legs all done up. That's the spot. I should have shown that. My apologies. And now we are on to our next piece here. Now I got to do my larceny bit. Let me just take my instructions themselves. Actually, we're done the whole first page. We're rocking on to the second page here. Let's go ahead and open this up for myself. It's so funny, it's taken so long just to do a couple of steps. It's not a whole lot of pieces in this build, and I thought that because of that, this would actually be a little bit of a quicker build, but nope. Alrighty, so now what we're going to be doing is grabbing these guys right here, and we're curving them, and then adding this little bit of detail on the inside. That looks super interesting. Okay. Yeah, so let's take this first, I guess. And what we're going to do is we're going to bend the tabs down. Just like that. Cool. And is that how it goes? That doesn't feel right. That's the engraved part, and this is the engraved part. And it's supposed to go like that. Because to me, I mean, I'm going to follow what you tell me to do, Metal Earth. Yeah, no, it tells me to put it right there on top. This is the engraved piece, and this is the engraved piece. And then we bend them together. But that doesn't look right. It looks like it should go like this. Aha, it does. I knew it did. I knew there was something up with that. Because it's supposed to be a cloak detail. So that means that these guys gotta be bent this way. There we go. That makes way more sense. I don't know why. I'm having a really hard time viewing the instructions, I guess, in the last day here. Let me see. Cool. And then we take this side here. Neat. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now what we're going to do is put a bend into this. But the thing is, I'm not too sure exactly how much of a bend to put into it. So what I'm going to do is kind of just do a generic one. I'm going to press into this. You're going to see the metal kind of roll up. I'm actually trying to roll the tool at the same time just to create a nice, again, kind of a nice shaping. Doing a nice little roll. There we go. There is our little detail that I have shaped right now. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't want these to necessarily be perfect at the moment, but we do want to make sure that our edges are bent, just because, again, we want that nice shaping. Grab that little piece there. Cool. Thanks, Rob. I really appreciate that. Cool. Move that to here. Grab this other side, and now we're going to move on to placing this in. I feel like for my friends out there that have built this before, when I do the actual review episode, they're going to laugh at me with the amount of mistakes I made on this build. This is a... Oh man, it'd be so cool to do like a National Treasure Groove Builders episode. I gotta figure out how to do the scripting on that. That'd be so much fun though, especially with all the mistakes I made. It'd be so much fun. Gotta figure out how to do it. Okay. Like that. That looks pretty cool too. I mean, it's really simple stuff right now. Grab this. Push her in. Even that little bit of detail in the front, we got to get a little tiny bit of a bend in it. And I probably should have done that actually prior to, but I wanted to form the two pieces together so that they had some kind of symmetry, or at least try to get that. I think it did okay though. I might have to secure these tabs. we go. Cool. Now I'll go around to the top here. Give a little bit more of a curve. Just a little bit more. I know it's going around the waist, I think. So, yeah, it's going around the waist. Okay, so we got an abouts for those two pieces. Again, we're going to have to do a little bit more shaping on that, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's go ahead and grab our next piece here, which is part 23. This is our little belt. Let's pop it over my shoulder there. And again, this one here, what we want to make sure we do is keep the engraved side on the outside. It looks like just like this, which I think is interesting. No, correction. It would actually be like this, white side. Actually, let me take one little quick look here to verify that. Where? Oh, where? Well. Huh. Yep. It's a kerfuffle day. Let me see real quickly. Sorry, my friends. Let me take one little second here. Nope. Where, oh where did it go? Super interesting. I had the box here. I don't know where it went to. Interesting. Sorry about that, guys. I'm pretty sure that it is the white belt does go over top of the cape. I'm going to take a quick little look here. Again, I do apologize, everybody. Templar Knight. Alert. Yep, I just wanted to make sure. I'm one of these weird people. I gotta see it, man. And if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. So it does look like the white side does go out. That is the engraved side. But when you have, like, if you understand what my debate is, I know that a lot of people are out there having the same debate sometimes. This to me is the engraved side. This is the painted side. So when you have a situation like this where it could be either way, and a silver belt detail would make sense on some models, because you know if you have a silver, like, I know that this one here typically, like, I know that this is not a pattern you normally see on the outside, but on space models you might see this too. So again, it does mean the paint side, but maybe if we put a P in the instructions, that could avoid people like myself having this kind of a thing. I've always said I am not necessarily an expert in these. What I do is that if I can build them, I know that you can build them at home too. Okay, whoopsie, just throwing anything anywhere I like. There we go. Okay. Now, this belt looks pretty decent. Pretty decent. Let me just do this, kind of bring her around. Again, trying really hard not to get any hot spots there. Okay. There we go. Awesome. And now, what we're going to do is it actually tells us not to attach the pieces just yet, so we're not going to do that, but I am going to bend these down like that. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is grab these guys and place them around the belt. It looks like, yeah, we can hook them in. So we're going to go ahead and bend these. Grab them just like that. Okay. And now we're going to build these sides up. Looks like that one goes there. That one goes there. Oh, maybe not. Did I miss one? It looks like I missed. So that goes like that. Like that. Is that correct? Or am I doing that wrong again? Let me take a look. That doesn't make sense because there's a tab there on the bottom. So let me take that out. What am I doing here? Looks like... No, the tabs do go out. So I was putting it on right. Let me take these. Move those out like that. Okay. And now we're going to place this back in. And we know that this is going in the right spot because the front has the little silver piece there. That's the split. And the only negative sometimes to wearing these gloves is that the parts like to stick to your hands. So when you're trying to manipulate things, like I did there while trying to turn it around, it can be a pain in the butt. So let's do that. That. There we go. Now before I get that last tab, go. And there we go. Grab that one, same thing. Normally I like to keep all of my tabs kind of like uniform in terms of how I'm bending them. Like if you notice I twisted this one and then bent these ones two down. Yeah, I do like to try to keep consistent, but sometimes when we're doing the building, it's easier just to kind of, you know, work with things. And that worked out really well. I don't like that point though. Can we put that point in? Yeah, we can. So there we go. That looks really nice. And the shaping didn't do that bad either. We can manipulate the two pieces separately if we need to. Again, just be very careful not to get any sharp pieces, especially right here, because now that we have a connection here, this wants to bend. This really does want to crease. You can already see mine, if I can get in the right light, wanting to crease. So careful about that one. Okay, just like that. Go in here. And that last one, yeah, I'm gonna have to secure the front one again. Sometimes, if you bend your pieces just right, you can get them all to actually just kind of sit there, and it makes life so nice. Wow, that tab is not being my friend there. What's going on? Is it bent? No, it's just being pesky. I'm having a really hard time today. Hilarious. There we go. Cool. Now, again, I want to put that little point there back underneath. That looks good. Okay, I got a little bit more space here than I want, but we actually look pretty good. That doesn't look bad. I think once we place it onto our main model, it might look even better. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So let's grab our main piece here. And just like we did before here, we're going to grab these and bend that up. There we go. Grab this guy here. We're going to bend it off to the side. Excellent. And then we are going to grab this. And there we go. Cool. Place her on. Oops. There we go. side pieces here first. And I'm going to do that with a twist on either side, and then we'll come back and we'll change that. That front one's in. Okay. Now, if you're having a hard time getting these tabs in place, let's say your tab is pushing back and it's not coming out for you. You need to have it this way. If you bring another tool behind the armpits here and push it out like this. So let's say you're trying to get that tab. If you had something like this, you could have this like this, and you can get that tab a lot easier. Okay, so that's a good way of helping you there if you're stressed. And I know that sometimes when you're dealing with these details and you're trying to get them in place and you're pushing it in, you can lose this little spot here. You'll get a little stress right there, and it can be a little disheartening. So again, you can pop it back out just by going on this side, and if you use 2 tweezers, sometimes that can even be more helpful to you. Now, this is an interesting thing. How is that supposed to work? I guess this part of the tab goes up even higher because there's no insertion on the back. Anyway. Okay, so for this one, instead of doing what I've done before, which is creating a lock, we're actually going to do it reverse. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to grab these tabs, and I'm going to go the opposite way. I know that these tabs are going to be hidden by the cape, so I'm not too concerned about that, but this will be a lot easier to connect than going from the other way. As you just saw. Boom goes dynamite. Now we can do one of 2 things here. We can twist these tabs or we can bend them. No one's going to see these. I'm going to twist these. You know, people argue back and forth about which method of securing your tabs is better. In my opinion, it's whatever method works for you. You know, bending the tabs down and kind of hiding them where you can does look the best. To be totally honest, it does look the best. You don't want to see the tabs. You want to hide them. But at the same time, sometimes the tabs look nice. And you also got to think about how much stress you want to put yourself there too. Okay, now what I think is so interesting is that this doesn't have a connection here. Where is that supposed to go? I don't think I missed a part. But I am going to bring this out just in case. There we go. So now that tab is a little bit more easier for me to grab. See? I can grab it way easier. All right, that looks really good. That looks really, really good. Now we can move on to our sword. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to place him down there. There we go, our little sword detail there. Let's go ahead and bring the swords down here real quickly. So the first thing we're going to be doing with our sword is grabbing part 24 and part 25. And I'm trying to mix up my other ones here. It looks like all we're doing is just putting these 2 pieces back to back. If I can get them off my mouse pad. Oh, they're stuck. There we go. Okay. And so it looks like this. Is that correct? Okay, yeah, awesome. So all we gotta do, this is actually really easy. Now again, with flat pieces like this, you want to grab as much of the tab in your tweezers as possible. You don't want to have anything left over. If you do, you're going to have a really off-center sword and it will look kind of weird. So kind of going right to the edge and almost rolling your tweezer off is a good way to guarantee you're getting as much of the tweezer in, much of the tab in your tweezers as possible. A lot of T's in these sentences. There we go. So it appears, my friends, we've actually reached our first hour. So what I'll do is after I've taken this sword here, I will restart our music. That's a good way of me indicating that hour. And what I will do is I will finish up this sword, and then I will call it for a little bit. I might be on a little bit later tonight. What I'll do is I'll finish up the Templar Knight. We'll hopefully finish up the arms and do some really cool capage here. And I don't think that this part down here is going to take as long as the other half of this build has. And it'll be very clear, this is not a hard build. Not at all. It's just my inability to follow instructions has really kind of held us up here. So let me grab this. And I'm going to go ahead and restart our music here as well. So friends, just one moment. And so sorry about that, Rob. I also saw you made another comment there, my friend. So actually, I've made lots of Metal Earth models. First of all, welcome to the channel. Glad to see you here. We do all kinds of Metal Earth models here on the show. I've built everything from the very early beginning stages of Metal Earth. I started about 5 years ago doing this kind of thing, and just helping people build models, showing off this cool hobby, and trying to spread it, to be totally honest with you, because there's not a whole lot of people, like I said before, that are into it. So I feel like if more people knew about it, that this would be a lot bigger of a hobby. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been trying to share this out and help people where I can when they need help with these builds. I try my best to answer questions, and I have an Instagram as well where I try to answer any questions, and I try to share as much of the community's work as possible. I find it hard sometimes to find the pictures though, because not everyone uses hashtags like Metal Earth or MU, so I'm on a bit of a hunt to find that stuff sometimes, but I have been actively trying to find it and share as much of this cool stuff that we do. I personally, I love Metal Earth. Metal Earth is probably one of my favorite 3D metal model brands, but I have to say, the guys over at Metal Time have really kind of converted me. They're really wicked people, and I want to support them as much as possible. There we go. Getting that sword on there. I kind of thought this sword was going to be a 3D sword, to be totally honest with you. I'm kind of surprised it is what it is right now, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and secure these tabs. These ones are bent down if I'm not mistaken. Actually, before we do that, we're actually going to put our hilt in first, which made sense. I was kind of questioning that. Let's grab that reel here. This is part 27. The center tab should go in front here as shown. Okay, so just like that. And you want to wrap it like this. So what we're going to do that is grab our little mandrels here. And actually, we'll start big and then go small, like I always like to do, instead of making a big mistake there. Oh, I just did that. That is so silly of me. Now, I just did that, but don't worry, we're okay. I can't believe I did that. I even read the instructions before doing it. You know what this is a mark of, my friends? A mark of needing food and coffee. Keep referencing my girlfriend in this video too, but my girlfriend there was actually trying to say, you know what, just not go out right now. Maybe take a couple of breaks before going on, and I should have agreed with her on that. She usually does know best. And yeah, feeling I think the tiredness. But again, we're gonna take a little bit of a break here in a moment, and we'll come back at her stronger than ever, finish her up. Okay, now I'm trying again to make sure that I get a really nice bend here. I'm gonna come back over with my tweezers and just bend them in place, just like that. Kind of go down. And again, I'm trying to meet these ones just like that. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Awesome, awesome. Okay, not bad at all. Now we can do is go ahead and place this in place. Now, to my understanding, we want to have that long piece there go in front. So that's like this. Actually, and what we're going to do too, just to make this a little bit easier, we're going to bend these inwards. And it looks like actually that little back area didn't get bent very well down there. So we're going to that out here as well. There we go. Okay. Now by putting those little bends and those back tabs there, it should make life a lot easier here on the front. There's one tab. And the other one is just shy. There we go. Excellent. Did I make it in all three? I don't think I did, actually. Yep, there we go, all three. So now with that, we can go in here and... trying to get these tabs here. That one's going to be a little harder to grab. There we go. I'm actually going to bend all of these like that just to make sure that they are 100%. There, that was a good connection. I like that a lot. The sword here, though, that seam on the back, let's correct that a little bit there. I bet you I'll be able to do that really well here in a moment, actually. But now that we're here, what we're going to go ahead and do is insert the sword. Like this. Make sure I'm not going to put that. I don't want to have the seam of, or the tabs of the sword in the front visible. Okay, now we're going to bend this one this way, and we're going to bend the other one the other way, and this should create a nice uniform effect if I can press them equally on both sides. Look at that. Not bad at all. The sword actually goes on this side. You can see it's leaning on the one, so I'm going to have to go back and play with that just a little bit. But not bad at all. That looks great. That looks fantastic. And with that, my friends, we're done step 6. So actually, let me just make sure here. What's the next little part? Are we done step 6? Let me take a look here. I'm surprised at the little hilt. There's actually a little red piece right here. That goes on at some point. I don't see it on here just yet, but it might come up soon. But for right now, my friends, step 7 and the rest of them will have to wait till a little bit later. I really enjoyed building the body here, the head, and the sword here with you. And if you guys have had a good time, don't forget to press that like button. For more videos like this, hit subscribe as well, as we got all kinds of really cool content coming out in the future. And until next time, keep building.